I'm really at a crossroads when it comes to 2.5 Dimensional Seduction, and I really do want to get some feedback from people. Let me know what you think. I don't know if I even want to cover this show anymore. And I don't know, maybe I'm grumpy this morning. But I feel like episodes 10 is sort of an example where, despite the fact that Nagomi's character stuff was good, like it was decent, it just feels like everything around that has sort of rubbed me the wrong way and kind of highlighted to me, don't expect too much from the series. Do not expect too much of this series. And that's unfortunate, because I was actually defending the show from the very beginning. I felt like, despite the fact that it was taking a lot of the ecchi out, which really did bug me, because I feel like if it embraced the ecchi, it's actually very creative with the ecchi. Yes, putting aside that it's ecchi for the sake of ecchi, it felt creative in how it was using the ecchi. Having Ririsa being kind of a girl that's like, I like this. I like being pervy. Embracing it. I like that aspect. But I didn't shut down the entire show acknowledging the fact that they were going to pretty much sanitize it. It still had something in here. It had the cosplay culture. It had some good characters in there. I felt that it had potential of doing something. But again, I feel like episode 10 sort of just showed me, don't expect too much of me. And that bothers me, because I feel like the entire first half of this entire episode is characters talking to each other by looking at each other. And I'm like, just talk to each other. Have them go to a scene somewhere else and talk to each other. Don't have them have a full-on conversation and figure each other out by looking at each other through a crowd, which they shouldn't be able to see each other through a crowd. Don't have Nagomi turn to them every 2 seconds over and over again with these dramatic turns and express herself over and over again. And yes, stop fixing everything because Lilia looks so cute. That's, I think, the thing that's sort of starting to kind of rub me the wrong way. Rather than have something figured out, rather than have something, go through a process, it always kind of simply comes to the conclusion, Lilia's super cute. Ah, that's right. I love cosplay. And I think the other reason that bugs me is because I've heard that there is some good writing in here. Now, I have heard whispers that it's after what the anime is going to cover, like after episode 24 airs, that's when it gets into a really good arc. And that bugs me because that on one end, it's going to be one of those cases where it gets good in second season, or possibly a case of we'll ever get a second season. And I want it to, because I want to see something good out of this. But anyways, I just feel like this morning, maybe I'm cranky, but I feel like I'm just starting to kind of fall out of love with the show. Like, I just don't know if I want to cover it anymore. Hopefully something in the next season kind of kicks up for Friday. Maybe I want to cover that instead. It really does feel like it might turn into a show that I'm going to drop. But no, negativity aside, like I said, I did like what they at least did with Nagomi's character in this whole situation. Having Mayura show up and really kind of give her the shock to return her where she once was. And I think that's really what they were doing here. The idea that Nagomi right now is on top of the mountain. Like, she is the king of the hill. She is very popular. She's a professional and everything. And now having her past kind of creep back up. I was a little sad that Eryu is there as well, but she didn't really get much attention. But yes, having Mayura show back up, she suddenly remembers this rivalry that she had. And it starts to trigger this nastier side of her. This side of her that we haven't really seen up to this point. Yeah, technically her being mean to Ririsa was, a little bit off base, but it really did show the sign of where she was and how she got here. But additionally, having later on Ririsa show up, that shows the very beginning. This idea of that's who I once was. I was really happy. Well, what she once was she felt she wasn't unattractive. And I do like this story. Like I said, despite my negativity at the beginning, I do like the story of somebody who at some point fell in love with this character, seen themselves, felt that they were disgusting, thought that they were ugly, which breaks my heart. And the idea that how she felt like she had to change herself to make herself more beautiful. She liked being called cute. She liked cosplaying. She liked others that wanted to become these other people. She liked the idea of improving yourself and becoming something else, all the way to the point where it kind of warped. It kind of worked because she became a professional, which this was technically getting into what I was kind of alluding to in previous episodes. This idea at some point when she became a professional, was she ever really a cosplayer anymore? And I think it does sort of say that in this episode. It does get into the idea of how she used to love people that would just cosplay. Like, you have this whole segment where you have Mayura is talking about how, yeah, you used to actually grab these people and want to be their friends. These people that were buying, like, budget discount cosplay off the shelf and wearing them. You didn't care. And it's funny because I was questioning that whole mindset of, do you have to make your own cosplay to be a cosplayer? She was literally embracing people just because you put something on. That's all that mattered. That's a cosplayer. and she loved everybody. But at some point, she got too wrapped up in her rivalries. She got too wrapped up in the competition because, and I think this is kind of that sad reality of the position that Nagomi took. Again, Mayura was a hobbyist. She liked it as a hobby. Whereas Nagomi, she made it her life. She made it her profession. And I think what comes from that profession is that you have to be on the top. In order to keep being a professional, you have to have relevancy. You have to be something that sells. If she goes out there to that cosplay event in this episode and nobody surrounds her, they don't want to hire her anymore. That's her job. And if she wants to make a living doing that, unlike Mayura, who was doing it as a hobby, but she went off to be a teacher, that's important. She has to get those crowds. And so that turned into sort of a desire to be the best. And it's interesting because at some point, Mayura says, and she never really seen herself in that whole regard. Mayura at some point says, you actually were drawing the crowds. You were outselling me. But Nagomi didn't see that. All Nagomi could see was how Mayura was doing. She never looked at herself, which, I don't know. I get the idea of her getting a little bit tunnel vision when it comes to the crowds. That part makes sense to me. But in the whole regard of outselling, I don't know how she sees that because she's going to, outside of the competition, outside of the rivalry moments, she's going to see how much she sells. Still, in the end, it's still saying right here, Nagomi was outselling Mayura. She was outcrowding Mayura, but she didn't see it because she was so focused on Mayura. She was too focused on her shadow. This person that enjoyed things, was enjoying the cosplay itself, while she was so focused on being the best, the cutest, all that kind of stuff. That was sort of an interesting thing. Again, it sort of doesn't really make sense in the regard of selling, but still, I mean, that's the tunnel vision that she got herself into. She got so wrapped up in the competition, that's all she cared about. And now, Liliel's here. Now Liliel's here, and she's going to do the same damn thing. I like it, because it is Mayura at the same time sort of acknowledging that she was a good person. She was somebody that wanted to make friends of everybody. But at some point, something changed. Even Nagomi, from her perspective, is seeing the same thing. At some point, I lost that. As much as I want to tell myself that I loved everybody and that we were all friends, I put up this barrier. I put up this barrier of hatred. And what was that? People that enjoy this. Because I don't enjoy it anymore. It's basically her saying she doesn't enjoy it anymore. She hates cosplay. She hates doing what she does because it hurts. She loves it so much, but it hurts me. And thus I can't enjoy it. And it bugs me that other people enjoy it. Because I want to enjoy it. Everybody's doing exactly what I want. I hate them smiling. I don't like Liliel right here being happy. That's why I hated her. The first moment somebody showed me Liliel's picture, I hated her. Why? Because she looked happy. And I'm miserable. And thus I want to make everybody else miserable. I like it. I like this kind of thing. I like the willingness of the writer to take their character and show them as a nasty person. Nagomi, by all accounts, is very misguided, but still, in the end of the day, she is nasty. She is a nasty person because she wanted to take somebody else that was enjoying what she's enjoying and take them down to where they're at. Be miserable like me. I'm going to tell you horrible things to get you to be miserable like me or give up. Get you out of the picture. I don't like rivalries. I don't like somebody having fun. Again, it's nasty. I liked it. And again, that was sort of the thing in this episode that kind of made me go, okay, it can be good. Like, this show can be good. Maybe I won't write it off. And then, like I said, at the very end, it kind of just... I'm mixed. I'm very mixed. I don't really necessarily want this to be how this storytelling is done. And it's done it, 3 times now, if I can count it. I mean, obviously through Mikari, she sort of showed her that, man, this girl's having a lot of fun. I enjoy this cosplay stuff. Technically with Mikari, it was really her showing her a way to get Masamune's attention. Let's be truthful. But yes, with Mayura, it's definitely a case. She's showing her how great it can be. She's showing how fun it can be. This idea that you don't have to be so wrapped up in what society wants you and that you can embrace the thing that you love so much. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit too rough here, but I hope this isn't the case for every storytelling they do in this series. Maybe now that they've introduced most of the characters that are at least on the cover art, they might have a new cover art for the next core, but do something else besides she looks like she's having fun, thus I want to have fun. Because again, the way they wrapped up this episode just kind of put a nasty little sting at the end of it, like, that's it. She just looks like she's having fun. So now Nagomi wants to have fun. Again, it's literally them having an argument, a discourse, and then at some point they have that aha moment and everything gets resolved. But again, nobody spoke a word. They just looked at each other. That's just kind of a blah moment. It's just a blah. That's all I can say. It's just blah for me. But again, I'm just probably being super negative. And I guess probably why I kind of got to that negative point there was really in the fact that Ririsa almost has a similar situation here where we've established the idea of there's no real reason for cosplaying. You can have many different reasons to cosplay. And now we're having Ririsa essentially continue that kind of pattern there of kind of digging way too deep and overthinking what is the point of cosplay. I'll just figure out, we just haven't figured out the real reason to cosplay. I'm just going to cosplay until I can figure out that reason that nobody's discovered yet of why cosplay, because I like Lilio. Again, I think they did a really good job in the previous episode of establishing the idea of, do you need a reason to cosplay? A cosplay can be for different reasons. And we're still kind of dragging it out. But again, outside of my negativity, I do liked Nagomi's little story. My heart breaks for her. The idea of essentially her feeling that she was ugly and feeling that the only way that she can be accepted by people is by becoming cute. And there is sort of a sad reality here that it doesn't necessarily give a positive message to this, because in the end, what is the message here? Nagomi got cute and people love her. So go out and get cute and people will love you. There's like no sense of here of like loving yourself. It's just simply become cute so people can love you. I guess the flip is the idea that in the end, she doesn't want to do it to be cute, but more so the idea that she wants to do it because she wants to have fun. So I guess there is a positive message there that it's not just about becoming cute, but not that it's a bad idea that you can have joy in becoming cute. You can have joy in wanting to look better. That's not a bad thing as much as society doesn't want you to believe that. I guess the other note is that if people don't think that you're cute, doesn't mean that you're not cute. I guess is the better way to put it. Anyways, that's my probably way too negative thoughts on episode 10. And again, it's not really so much episode 10. I think it's just more of a collective of the series that I feel like I'm starting to kind of fall off on it. And I do hope that it kind of turns things around. I think episode 11 for me is going to be very telling. We're gonna come up to the core's ending. I'm certain they're probably going to have some big hit point. I'm assuming maybe possibly Nagomi confronting Ririsa. Maybe they're going to have an important exchange between the two of them. Who knows? But I'll be curious to see what it kind of does for the next couple episodes. And it might be very telling for me because, again, with this next season coming up, it's usually a good point for me to kind of transition to covering different things with the new season coming around. So if it doesn't hold my attention, I don't know. We'll see. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit that like button down below, comment. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Again, do you think I'm off base? Do you think it's as strong as ever? Are you thinking of dropping at some point? Let me know. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe for the channel before you leave. If you like this content and you want to support the channel more, links in the description below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.